Hello friends, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today's video is actually Bookmas Day 5. That's crazy. So today's video is going to be my favorite books of 2023. Can we believe it's already almost 2024? Because I sure can't. I am speechless. But I figured one of the days for this Bookmas series would be good to go over the books that I loved so much this year. There's a lot of them, so without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get into them. And some of these I haven't talked about in a video yet, which some of these I might not make just like standalone videos for. I'm not sure. If there's any on this list that you would like me to make just a review video for, then feel free to let me know, and that's something I can work on in the future. But for now, I will go over my thoughts and feelings on them in this video. So let's get right on into it. So the first one I wanted to talk about, and I'm looking at my computer to see what my books and questions and stuff are, so that's why I look back and forth. Just a heads up. So the first one I wanted to talk about is called Snow Falling, and if any of you have ever seen the show Jane the Virgin on Netflix, you'll already know where this is going. I'm a big fan of that show. I love that show. I love the characters. I love most of the storylines. I think they're so interesting and emotional, but I love them, and I love the characters so much. So Jane, I'm team Jane and Raphael, by the way. If you have a team, right, make sure to write that in the comments down below and let me know if you're team can't talk. Let me know if you're team Raphael or team Michael. Please let me know. I'm very curious. So if anyone didn't know, this book I believe came out a few years ago now, and it is the book that Jane is writing during the TV show. So her romance novel that she's working on is basically, it's Snow Falling. It's this book, and it's really cool. It's historical. It's set in Miami, just like the show, but it's in a very different time period. I cannot remember the time period right now off the top of my head, but it's a great story, and it's, I don't know, it was really well written, and I just loved it. I loved it a lot, and it feels very similar to the show as you're reading it, and if you're a big fan, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I listened to the audiobook for this, and one thing I loved is that the narrator in the show also is the narrator in the audiobook. So they had the actor come in and say like the narration for the book as it was going, and you would hear that very, very familiar voice we all know so well from the show. You hear that throughout the audiobook, and it was so cool, and it was such a nice surprise. I had no idea. I usually just listen to audiobooks because it's easier for me and it's quicker to get through a book if I listen to the audiobook. So I was not prepared for that, but I love it. So that was really cool. And then the next book was Thorn Hedge by T. Kingfisher, which I already have a review up for, a full-on review if you want to see that, but I loved that book so much. I loved it. It's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and I wish I'd known that before when I first started reading it, because I had no idea. I had to look it up to see like what the retelling was, and I should have guessed from like as the book went on. I should have been able to figure it out, but I didn't. But I just think that's an important detail to remember, that it's a retelling for Sleeping Beauty, and it makes so much more sense as you're reading it. If you know that going into it, it makes more sense, and it makes the story so much better and so much more magical, and that fantasy, that fairy tale feeling of it is really, really good. So I personally loved that book a lot, and I'm looking forward to reading even more T. Kingfisher books in the new year. The next one was Legendary. This one took me a while to get to, and I have no idea why. Caraval was one of my favorite books of all time last year. I couldn't talk about it enough. I loved it so much. And so much so that I convinced my best friend to read the series, and now she's finished with Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I'm only in finale, so I'm still catching up, I promise. I will read and finish finale and start Once Upon a Broken Heart, because I really need to find out what happens. But Legendary was so good. I don't know what I expected. I don't know if I expected it to be not as good. Maybe I did, because I heard a lot of people say that the last two books weren't as good as the first. So I kind of went into it with like an unsure, like how it's gonna go and how I'm gonna feel about it. But thankfully I loved it. I love Stephanie Garber's writing a lot, and I mean, we already know this, but I'm so happy to be finishing that series, and sad at the same time because I don't want it to end. The next book that I loved from this year was Among the Beasts and Briars, and this one I have the physical book. A lot of these I don't have the physical books to show, but for this one I do. Oh, I have Legendary. I was going to show it when I talked about it and I didn't. Anyway, Among the Beasts and Briars by, was it Ashley Poston? It's one of my all-time favorites. It's another fairy tale. I don't think it was a retelling of anything. It was just a fairy tale on its own, as far as I know. But it was really good. It was really good. Daisy and Fox, the two like main characters in this story. I want more. I want more. I really want another book about that world, because I miss them so much. That's going to be like a reread for me probably in the future, for sure, because I fell in love with it. And then the next two are series, which are The Shadowhunters. The first two, City of Bones and City of Ashes. I read both of those maybe like a few weeks ago now, and I fell in love with that world. It's so interesting and so, what's the word? It's just really, it's a rich world. It's a very magical, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it's really good, and I love the characters. I love Clary, and I love Isabel. I love Simon. I mean, so many characters. Jace. Like, this world is so fun and interesting and creative and whimsical, and I don't know, I just really liked those books. I plan to read City of Glass either this month or in the new year. I'm not sure yet how that's going to go, but I'm hoping to do a review in Bookmas of City of Glass, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. As of now, that's not on the list, but I'm hoping I can do it. And then the last book that's not part of a series is The Night Circus, that I had the pleasure of reading thanks to Clockwork Reader's video, where she gushed about it. I decided to read it in my Reading Like a Clockwork Reader video, which I'm still very, very proud of. It took me 6 months to film and edit and get it ready to go. So if you haven't seen that, I will actually link that up in the bar, and then I'll also try to link it in the description. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, because I'm personally very proud of that video. I think it came together really well. And this book was magical. Like, what else did I expect? I don't know. But it was so good. It was so interesting. This is definitely going to also be a reread. Maybe next year. I'm not positive yet. We'll have to see. But I plan to reread this one. I probably should read The Starless Sea first. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I end up getting done for the rest of the month. But those are my favorites of 2023. And if there's any on this list that you've read that you love also, please feel free to let me know in the comments. If you haven't read any of these, which ones do you want to read? Let me know that in the comments as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow for day 6. Love you.